Welcome to the Gaudium at Spes podcast, where every other week we bring you Catholic teachings and stories of faith from people throughout the Diocese of Pensacola-Tallahassee. Now, here are your hosts, Sharmane Adams and Ches Filippini.
Welcome back to a new episode and a new year. I see that my co-host Ches is not with me today. I know that you see that as well. He's actually taking some time off and enjoying time with his family and his newborn baby, Gabriel. He will join us in 2 weeks. But today, I would like to introduce you to our guest, Suzanne Mcnitch. And she is a Navy veteran, and she's going to be sharing with us today her story, her experiences of serving in the military. Welcome, Suzanne.
Thank you. It's so great to be here today. You know, I'm such an avid fan of your podcasts that, it's really neat to be sitting on this side of the table and to be able to have a conversation with you. And so thank you. It's
an honor, definitely an honor.
Thank you.
We're going to go ahead and start off, as we do with every episode. We're going to talk about, I'm going to read the first line of Vatican II, the document, the Gaudium et Spes document, which goes like this: the joys, the hopes, the griefs, and the anxieties of the men of this age, especially those who are poor or in any way afflicted. These are the joys and hopes, the griefs and anxieties of the followers of Christ. So, Suzanne, let's start off with what in the last week. I mean, we're coming off Christmas.
Yes.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you, too.
Yeah. So, in the last, say, couple of weeks, we normally say about a week, but a couple of weeks because of Christmas and New Year's and so forth. What have been your hopes, anxieties, griefs, all of that?
Well, Sharmane, I have to say that my greatest joy has been that our family is now a square again. So we went from a triangle just a few weeks ago to a square. And I used to think that that was such a silly saying when other people would say it to me, but it represents, myself, my husband, and my 2 children. Well, my oldest son, Alex, is in college. And so when he is away, our square becomes a triangle. But when he's home, it becomes a square again. So I've been thrilled to have had him at home and to have our square back again, as well as being able to share time with family and friends over these holidays. So it's just been really amazing.
Definitely. I remember when my firstborn, Jarrett, went off to college and I had my daughter home. And, it's a different dynamic.
Totally.
Just, all these different emotions. So when they come back from, for the holidays, it's like, I am complete. But it's not so much like complete like it was because they're their own person now.
Yes.
And so did your son, did he grow out his hair a little bit?
Well, he actually grew it out during COVID, but since then he's been keeping it shorter, which mommy likes.
Yes, me too. Yeah.
So, no, it's, he'll be going back to school here in about another week. Actually, his birthday is in 2 days and, he won't be my teenager anymore. He's turning 20. So I know they grow up so fast. It's just amazing.
They do.
Yes.
Well, so my high, like you, we've had no, we don't have the triangle. What do you call it whenever it's just the 2 of you? You're
straight line.
Straight line. Very nice. So we've had our square back, and it's just been such a joy with the kids. But it's they have their significant others now. My daughter's engaged, and it was wonderful. I loved it so much.
Yes.
And what about your sorrow, griefs, your low?
Yeah, well, I think during the holiday time frame, it's hard not to think about the people that don't find joy during this time period. So I pray for and I think about those that are physically, mentally, and spiritually unhappy, and especially those that can't make their square or their triangle or their straight line or whatever it is with loved ones. And I pray and I hope that that they find peace and joy wherever they may be, and in whatever state of mind they may be, and that they, grow and get better and learn and understand that, that faith is a great tool and resource and something that, they can turn to. And prayer is just so powerful.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think especially now with COVID, people have been struggling with, sickness with COVID, job loss, so many things, and that can be hard during the holidays.
Yes.
So hopefully we're going to be turning this around at some point, God willing, that, that people will find that joy again.
Right. I
That's
hope
important.
so too.
Definitely.
And what about you? Any?
Well, so I have to admit, it was a little difficult coming back to work after being gone for the holidays and saying goodbye to everyone.
Right.
So that was kind of sorrowful, just because it was such a lovely Christmas. It really was beautiful. The whole season was amazing.
It was.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, let's get started with your background. But before that, can you share with our audience about our diocese? We're the military is so prominent in our diocese, and can you give us a little history about it?
Sure, I'd love to. Yeah. For those of you who aren't aware, we have 6 major military installations within the Diocese of Pensacola-Tallahassee. Specifically, we have Naval Air Station Pensacola, Naval Air Station Whiting Field, we have Hurlburt Field, we have Eglin Air Force Base, we have Naval Station Panama City, as well as Tyndall Air Force Base. And between all of those bases, we have about 56,000 men and women who are serving in both the military and in the civilian sector on those installations, let alone over 130,000 men and women that at one time or another have served on active duty and are currently living in our area. So we have quite a large veteran population.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
It's just something that I don't think people talk about. You think that, yes, we do have a lot that serve, but even end up here.
Absolutely.
Like you.
Yes, like me.
Exactly. Well, tell me a little bit about your background.
Okay. Well, thanks. Yeah, I grew up as a military brat. My dad served 22 and a half years in the Air Force. So it's a lifestyle that I've known forever. It's funny because people ask, so when did you know that you wanted to join the service yourself? And I said, well, as long as I can remember. But actually, the funny story is that the first thing that I ever wanted to be was I wanted to be the first female Major League Baseball player.
Oh my goodness. So I guess you were a softball player.
Well, I was a baseball player until they told me that I couldn't play baseball anymore. And then I became a softball player. So that was about in 6th grade.
Okay.
And at the time we were living in Holland. My dad was stationed at Soesterberg Air Force Base. And yeah, I couldn't play baseball anymore. So I had to play softball. And I remember thinking, well, darn, what am I going to do now? And I think that's when I really seriously started thinking about joining the military. And I never looked back. It just then became a goal and a dream of mine. Mm-hmm. I can remember I went to school on base. So it was a DOD school there. And my sisters and I would, after school, oftentimes, walk to my dad's office or to the library or to somewhere on base and hang out for a while. And I remember going to his office and just thinking, this is the coolest thing ever. This is what I want to do too. And so, that's, and after we left Holland, we moved to Hawaii. and we were there for 3 years. And then my dad got orders to Tyndall Air Force Base over in Panama City. And so
How old were you at that point?
I was a junior in high school when we moved to the area.
Okay.
And I went to Mosley High School, and they had a Marine Corps Junior ROTC program there. And so obviously knowing that the military is what I wanted to do, I enrolled in the program, and it was just amazing. I immediately felt at home. It was the camaraderie, the friendship, the fellowship that came along with it just really kept me motivated. And so when I was a senior in high school, I applied for an ROTC scholarship, and I was graciously awarded one. And I decided to attend the University of Florida. So I was part of the Navy Marine Corps ROTC program there. And
My goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, you just went all in.
I did. I never thought twice about it. It was just something that was in my heart, I guess, calling for lack of a better term.
Right.
So, yeah.
What about your sisters? Were you the only one?
Well, I was the only one who joined the military, but, in talking to them today, I think several of them wish that they had taken that same route, but I was the oldest.
Okay.
So I have 3 younger sisters. And so, yeah, I mean, they've been supportive. My parents have been so supportive. It's just, it's been really neat to be a part, of the military family, for all these years.
Tell me about, were you raised Catholic?
I was.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And how was the faith growing up? I mean, obviously you moved a lot,
Right.
and that may have, I don't know if that was challenging, how did you lean on your faith to get you through that as a child?
Thank you for asking. Absolutely leaned on it. I mean, we were a very traditional Catholic family. Attended Mass every week, went to Sunday school, participated in all the sacraments. I was saying that I had lived in Holland. I was just reminiscing the other day. I had made my confirmation when we were over there. Oh. And it was actually a cardinal from the Netherlands that was there to
That's
preside.
Impressive.
It was. I don't think I recognized it, the significance of it when I was younger. But today I look back and think, wow, how amazing that was. But no, we mainly attended Mass on the bases wherever we lived. And, again, it was just a community. I mean, the one thing my mom always told us was that no matter how often we moved or where we went, you always had a best friend in your sisters.
Right.
And so I think that's sort of the mindset that we always had, is that we always have each other to fall back on. And so, yes, faith was a huge part of who we were and what we did. And, my parents were just wonderful examples to me through the years, and really taught me the values of volunteerism and selflessness. When we moved to Panama City, we started out attending church at Tyndall Air Force Base, and then eventually became parishioners at St. Dominic.
Okay.
And my mom was part of the Altar Society, and my dad was part of the Knights of Columbus. And so, it's the reason why I do a lot of the things that I do today, is because of the examples that they set for me.
Right. Exactly. And also what you've learned being in the Navy as well.
Absolutely.
And so whenever you entered the Navy, how old were you?
So I graduated from college in the morning, and in the afternoon, I took my oath of office and became an ensign in the Navy.
Oh my goodness. You never took a breath.
No. pretty much no. So
That's amazing.
I know. Yeah. And 27 years of service, and it went by in a flash.
Tell me what you did.
So I came into the Navy as what they called a general unrestricted line officer. Basically a jack of all trades, master of none. So there was a wide variety of jobs that I could do as a general unrestricted line officer. So this was 1991 when I received my commission. And at that time, only 40% of the jobs in the Navy were open to women. Which is just extraordinary to think that just 30 years ago, that's where we were.
Right.
I'm proud to say that when I retired, 100% of the jobs were open to women. So it's really neat to see how far the Navy and all the military services really have come as far as opportunities for anyone and everyone to serve. So it's just been great.
Good. And when did you meet your husband?
So,
you're like, yeah, you lit up.
Thank you. Yeah. So, I met my husband when I was 30, which was, I suppose a little bit later than some, but, I remember thinking in my late 20s, I'd pray, go, God, please send me a husband, because I, like everybody, I think I had the dream of being married and having kids one day. And so, I was stationed in New Orleans, and a mutual friend of ours knew him, and he at the time was living in Houston, and he came over and we met. And never looked back twice. It was it. Yeah, we were engaged within 6 months and married, 6 months after that. So a year from when we met. It was. He was the first one that everything was just easy with. Even the distance. We made the effort. There wasn't. It wasn't hard. And, it's funny because I had always asked people prior to this, how do you know when you found the right one?
Right.
Yeah. And so, the answer was, well, you just know.
Exactly.
And I was thinking, well, that's odd. Like, I didn't believe that. But now that I went through it, I totally get it. And I say the same thing to other people and they're like, oh yeah, okay, whatever.
Right.
But
was he strong in his faith at the time?
He was. He grew up Catholic, but like many, went to church, didn't go to church, kind of depending. Sometimes life, unfortunately, takes priority over faith and different things. And so, but I think it was perfect for the two of us to come together because I think we really both reconnected with our faith. And I think that was, what was just amazing about our start and then the journey that we've had so far together, which has been over 21 years now. So
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I know
lovely.
it is, at the time. So I was stationed in New Orleans and, I had orders in hand to actually transfer here to Pensacola to teach at the Navy's recruiting school. And, we talked about it and we knew we wanted to get married. And so, Father John Kayer was a pastor at Nativity here in Pensacola, and he knew my parents from St. Dominic, and so I reached out to him and said, hey, would you please, preside over the marriage of my husband, my husband Bob and I, and he graciously did that. And so we ended up taking our pre-Cana classes at Notre Dame Seminary over in New Orleans, which was just an amazing place to be and to go through all of that. And then I transferred here and Bob followed, and 2 weeks after he arrived, we bought a house and we got married, and the rest is history. So
it's not like how, if you would have met earlier before, well, never mind, because you jumped right in as soon as you graduated.
Right.
But I think it's probably a little different because some couples, when they first start dating, they don't realize, the commitment it takes. Did you and Bob have that conversation of what it would look like? Because, especially going through pre-Cana and having these conversations with priests about your intention on marrying, you talk about children. So how did that, what did that look like for a newly married or engaged couple?
Sure. Well, it's funny because when we first met, I told him I want 6 kids. And I thought for sure he'd run. But he didn't. So, we had those intense, intimate conversations quickly, because I think within the first month or so, or 6 weeks, I think we knew that this was something different and this was something special, and this probably was something lifelong. And I'll be honest, prior to that, other individuals that I had, seen or dated or been around, things never progressed that quickly. I don't think we ever had those type of conversations because they weren't the right ones. And I don't know that I was ready, because you're right. I graduated, I got my commission, I went off, and I was career minded and career focused, and I was excited. I was ready to do things, travel, meet people, go to different places. I was selfish. I wasn't ready to share with somebody else at that time. So when Bob came along, I was ready, and he was ready too. And so it was just the perfect connection.
Did you travel a lot once you got married?
Yeah. So it's interesting. So I spent about 16 years in Navy recruiting.
Okay.
And so we lived in some pretty non-traditional kind of Navy places. And when we first got married and were stationed here, I was part of an inspection team. And so we had to travel with that. And Bob would come along with me on the trips. And it was wonderful that I could share those type of experiences with him. Within a year and a half of being married, our son Alex was born, and he came along too. So really it was a family affair. And that's what I think that I have tried to do as best as possible in, throughout my career is to include the family in on everything.
I love it.
Yeah, it's stressful enough, your job and everything else that you have going on. But the importance of family is just, really the cornerstone of everything that you do. I was lucky enough to hold command for 3 different times. My philosophy has been family, work, and life. And it's something that not only is a philosophy on paper, but it's something that I try to live. And, and what I mean by family is both your immediate family and your Navy family. And what do families do? They take care of one another. And so, I always emphasize the fact that, we are all a family and we have to look out for one another. We never leave a fallen comrade behind. We always, help each other out as much as possible. And then work is work. You have a mission to accomplish, and it's a significant mission, and it's something that we can't fail in doing. We have to accomplish it. And so 100% commitment to that. And then as far as life is concerned, I told people that you have to be sound mentally, spiritually, and physically, because if you're not, then you're no good to yourself or to anybody else. And in order to be successful with family, work, and life, it requires balance. Balance between those three entities. Now, that doesn't mean to say that there aren't going to be days when 100% goes to one of them and the other two get zero. But over the long haul, you really need to balance all three of them out in order to really, in my opinion, be happy, be successful, be of sound mind, and, capable. So
that's so beautiful. I love that, those words of wisdom. I'm sure that everyone can take that nugget and bring that into their own lives. What I did want to ask you, though, is once you had children, I know that Bob, you both made a decision that one of you would stay home and help, be a full-time parent raising your children.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I married an incredible man. Before we got married, obviously, like I said, we were talking about that we wanted children. And since we were both a little bit older, we were hoping that God would bless us pretty soon after our marriage with children. And, gratefully that happened. And then when I found out we were pregnant, we both talked about it. And, I feel very blessed that we were in a situation where, we could have one of us stay home with the child and raise them. At that point in my career, I was continuing to do well. So we made the decision that I would stay in and that he would stay home. And so, he did. And so it was kind of a non-traditional sort of situation and that we found ourselves in. But I think it's incredibly wonderful. I mean, I'm a mom. I'll always be mom. The kids will always, if they're hurt or they're sad or whatever, they'll always come to mom.
Yes.
And I know that. But to have a dad at home and for him to set that kind of example for our children and for other people to follow. I think one of the neat things is, as I continue to progress in rank and responsibility and, I got to talk to other women who were serving in the military. And I always said, I'm a proud naval officer. I'm a proud wife. I'm a proud mom, sister, daughter. And I'm telling you, if you think you can't do it all, you can. Because just look at me, and I'm doing it. And not to brag or boast about it, but it's all about priorities. Right. And it's all about, making sure you understand what are the things that are most important to you in your life and making those things, a center. And so he stayed home and, it was neat. It wasn't always easy. At times he struggled with it because, people were like, oh gosh, your wife is the one who's the breadwinner. And he's like, yeah, isn't that great? Look at her. Look at what she's doing. And so it was just he's so wonderful. So caring, so kind, so loving, for any parent to stay home and say that I'm going to dedicate myself to raising our children or children in general. I think it takes a very special person, male or female, to do that. And that's just what he is. So
you said that he struggled a little bit. What about you during that time? Did you ever feel that mama guilt in you saying, I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm feeling like I should because of my career?
Every day. Obviously I didn't vocalize it. Most of it was internal. But yeah, I did. I thought, should I continue? Should I get out? What should I do? Bob, when I did vocalize it, I talked to my husband about it, and, he encouraged me not to have that kind of a guilt and to stay focused and to realize what a gift I'm giving my children by staying in the service. And so I'd like to think that I set a good example for them, and that, they will now grow up to understand what it means to serve, and to, commit yourself fully to whatever it is that you're doing in life. And that, family is important. So, yes.
Definitely. And you are, now that you're retired, new chapter in life.
Yes.
You work here at the Pastoral Center in the HR department. She also is on the board of Magella House and very involved in your parish.
Yes.
At St. John here in Pensacola, which is very close to the Navy base, NAS. And, you've just carried on with your service, and I just met you like when you first started.
Right.
And you remember that time, or it was on your first day, and we're meeting, and I'm like, I want to know more about you. You're so interesting. And it's been incredible to get to know you, and you have such a beautiful heart. And I know that your service to others from way back then have been a blessing.
Oh, thank you.
I don't know if you've heard of Nicole Nordeman, but she is an incredible singer. And she has a song called Legacy. And I think about that when listening to you and what you have done. Has anybody ever asked you about what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind?
Yes, actually, and it's kind of an uncomfortable question for me, because I really don't like to focus in on myself at all. But, if I think back, over my time in service and who I am today, I think I just want people to say, wow, she was a woman who, gave of herself. She set an incredible example. She was courageous. She was selfless. She was inspiring. She was a leader. And those things warm my heart, to think that anybody would use any of those words to describe me. And yes.
Well, you certainly have all of those traits, definitely. And I just appreciate you being here today.
Oh, thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here today. I've had such a wonderful time.
Well, thanks for coming. I know right off the first of the year, it's getting back in the groove of things, but
Yes.
Thanks for sharing
You're
your story.
welcome. Thank you.
We hope that you will join us in 2 weeks. Ches will be back, and Bishop will also be with us, and he's starting a new teaching series. So check that out in 2 weeks, and we hope to see you then.
Thank you for tuning in today to the Gaudium et Spes podcast. If you would like to know more about our podcast, please visit gaudiumετspes.net or go to ptdiocese.org and click on the button that says podcast. If you listen to the audio version from an app such as iTunes, Stitcher, or Spotify, be sure to rate, review, and comment. If you watched us on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe or leave us a comment there as well. Thank you for joining us.